Hey, I'm Rachit, the founder of Layer. I grew up in rural Queensland and didn't really fit in. Through video games, though, I found self-expression and community. Fast forward a few years, and I was in a band. I responded to a tweet that led to one of our songs being in a NASCAR video game. And this licensing process was not only complex, but came about by chance. But the song reached an audience we never had before. So what if it was easy for creators to reach audiences through games? And what if games could work with creators to diversify into new audiences? Layer is on a mission to connect the creator economy with the gaming economy. I want you to meet Tom. Tom makes mobile games. A popular character makes his game stand out in the App Store, and players are more likely to buy character or branded items in-game too, which means Tom can sustainably make more games. Unfortunately, accessing these characters is really hard. This is Sydney. She manages merchandise licensing for the characters that Tom wants. Think t-shirts and socks. To hit her audience and financial goals, Sydney actually wants to engage with games, but doesn't know how to assess them. The first time Tom reached out to her, she didn't respond, and after he followed up, she eventually responded with a 50-page agreement not relevant to gaming, which left Tom overwhelmed. Tom and Sydney can't easily work together, leaving gaming collaborations to the likes of the Fortnites and the Disneys, who have the knowledge and resources to take advantage of these opportunities. Layer fixes this. Layer's managed marketplace brings both sides together and makes it easy for games to access brands that players love. We joined Startmate with no customers and no product. Over the past 12 weeks, we've quit our jobs, spoken to hundreds of customers, and built an MVP, which we've onboarded 42 games to, and 91 IP profiles, including cartoons, car brands, and celebrities. We're raising $2 million to match 1,000 games with IP based on simple, standard terms. We're democratizing access to the brands, characters, and stories that players already love. We're building a world where more games have the advantage of working with IP and more creators can access audiences in gaming. By building a world of more diverse games, I want more people to share in the experience of self-expression and community that I grew up with. If you'd like to hear more, please reach out. Thank you.
Hey team, look at this. Oh, that was awesome. I love the video. And I think before I ask you any questions, I really think it's worth emphasizing that 12 weeks ago, you didn't have a product. Like in our Startmate interview, it was kind of like, we just have conviction that this needs to happen. And look at where you are today.
Yeah, it's a really good slide deck, right?
Yeah, totally. Look, in that interview, you touched on this story that you told, and you touched on it in the video then as well, about your personal run-in with licensing and the problem that faced. Can you maybe talk to us a little bit about how you've gone from your personal experience to recognizing this was like a broader industry problem and then getting to the point where you are today with so many brands and games on your platform?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like when I first came across that process, I didn't even know it was called licensing. The whole process of getting content into games being called licensing was new to me. And when I dove into it, like I found that it happens in a pretty kind of traditional way. Emails, people kind of reaching out to mostly people they know, and kind of just being in a messy working environment, which I thought was worth poking at. I looked into the space and reached out to as many people as I could, and like the amount of people responding was kind of alarming in a good way. Like I literally just had a domain with nothing on the website, like a white page, and I was talking to people at like Lionsgate and Universal, and they were kind of telling me this kind of this problem around like they want to be in games, but like the process is very different to merchandising. And then speaking to the game side, we realized how much of a want there was for this content that people already love, like TV and films that people are watching. They've got characters and community behind them. So that's really been the focus and what's brought us to where we are. And having a team that's experienced in this space has really been able to get us to go from meetings to signups and the growth that we've had to date. So super exciting, wild ride.
Awesome. Well, your insight into the space has been pretty evident every call we've got on in the last 12 weeks. Look, I have to ask, NFTs are a pretty hot trend at the moment. How does Layer fit with the NFT trend and the emerging idea of the metaverse? Maybe you can talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a question that we get a lot. And look, Web3 gaming and the metaverse are going to need a lot of content to be compelling enough to attract a mainstream audience to really get everyone as they need to be a success. So we've signed our first 2 customers in the space and spoken to a lot of others. And it's been on a pretty simple proposition, which is that they need to get more content. So the examples that we've signed are Ready Player Me, which is a cross-game avatar, and Illuvium, an Ethereum-based play-to-earn open-world game. There's probably 2 relevant observations I'd make about both. Firstly, they're going to need to fill all the cultural niches that represent things players already have an emotional connection with, and they're acutely aware of that. The problem, whether you're an NFT, a metaverse, or a very conventional mobile game, a match-type puzzler, is you still need to secure the rights to anything that is protected by rights, in the pre-Web 1.0 world. And at the same time, gaming licensing happens to be very much outside the wheelhouse of the companies or individuals or groups of individuals that own these rights. The second is the point that a lot of these, especially metaverse plays, are very early, and the creators want to make games and the tech that powers the games. They don't want to be in the licensing business. And so, the creation of, even right through to the creation of branded assets, are things that they're already starting to look to a future where they can kind of SDK-ify that away and let third parties do it. And we think, we have an important role to play there, initially kind of in the rights layer and then the management layer, all the way through to kind of eventually helping with asset production. So while we do see the metaverse as a large trend in terms of growing the demand side of our business, from the perspective of helping brands and IP in the space, the challenges are really similar to kind of any mobile or other game today.